I got the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K pretty soon after it came out. I put in my pre-order and I was one of the lucky ones where it actually shipped and I didn't have to wait a super long time. And it kind of changed how I did everything. You know, it's not perfect. There's a lot of things about it that you need to adapt and configure and kind of build up to do everything you need. But that has actually helped me. It's helped me learn how to work around things that necessarily aren't perfect. I'm not reliant on autofocus. Can't shoot in really low light situations necessarily. But it has also given me things that I love. So when Blackmagic decided to pretty much kill the 4K and release the 6K, I was conflicted. I mean, I ordered one pretty much right away because it seemed like a no-brainer. The 4K was so good, the 6K must be even better. But when I got it, I was left, with kind of a meh feeling. It's not that it's not good, it's great, but I felt there was things about the 4K that this didn't give me that, at least for the extra money you're paying for the 6K, didn't necessarily 100% mean it was worth the upgrade. I mean, I absolutely love the bigger Super 35 sensor. I love that it has the EF mount, which is what I was already using with a speed booster before. And of course, you get that 6K resolution. But when I started actually using the camera, there were things that were kind of frustrating. Yes, you get 6K, but it's only in Blackmagic RAW. I do all of my editing in Final Cut Pro 10. Now, there are debates on which one you should use, which one's better, but that's what I use. It's what I'm used to. I'm very fast at it. I know how it works inside and out. And if I wanted to take advantage of that 6K footage, I would have to go into Resolve and use that program first, and either just transfer everything over there and learn a whole new program, or transfer it over to Final Cut Pro once I went through Resolve. But then, at the same time, the fact that the 4K options don't work in Blackmagic RAW seemed kind of weird. I mean, if I wanted to use RAW options, I had to shoot in 6K, which means higher data rates, more storage. There was these compromises between the shooting modes, and I wasn't sure if it was something I could necessarily get used to. But here's the thing, I kind of thought about it like this. When I first got the Blackmagic Cinema Camera 4K, there were compromises. There were things I had to get used to. Battery life is horrible. It needed to be rigged out. So I had to find bigger storage solutions. I needed a speed booster. There was things I needed to do to the camera and to my workflow to make it work. And after I did those things, it was great. It literally changed how I work. So I thought about it. Maybe that's what I need to do with the 6K. Maybe I should learn Resolve. Maybe that's something that's good to know. Maybe I'm going to get better results if I, instead of complaining about what workflow I need to do, I just know as much as I can, so no matter what situation I encounter, I'm good to go. So with that mindset, I decided instead of just forcing myself to shoot in the ProRes 4K profile on the 6K, what if I shoot in Blackmagic RAW, get that 6K footage, and see if this also changes how I work. Okay, real quick before we continue, I want to thank this video's sponsor, Surfshark. Surfshark is a VPN, and a VPN is something you may not think you need until you do, and then it really comes in handy. There's a few things that are great about this. One of the big ones I have recently used is for travel. If you're going to a country that maybe blocks certain parts of the internet, or you're on public Wi-Fi all the time and you don't want anyone getting into your device, using a VPN will keep you secure. And if you're somewhere, for instance, that can't use Netflix or access Google or some other website, you can actually tell Surfshark where you want your IP address to originate. So for instance, if I'm in China, I could tell it that I'm in the United States, and I still get access to everything. There's also a hack lock feature which lets you know if you have been breached. So you'll get an alert for personal information like emails and passwords so that you can get a hold of it before it gets any worse. If you want to try Surfshark for yourself, be sure to check the link down in the description and use the code MATT and you'll get 83% off. And you also get an extra month free. It's really a no-brainer. It's worth having. Go check it out. The footage that you get out of this camera, I mean, there's no other way to say it. It is excellent, especially when you consider in the price and the form factor. This is just something that wasn't possible even 2 years ago. I mean, this is 6K footage at under $3,000. It's kind of unheard of until now. But when I bring this footage into Resolve and start to tweak it and work with it, I notice how much data is there and how much I can actually get out of this footage. Once I dove into the Blackmagic RAW world, there were things about this camera I love and was hoping I would get in the 4K but didn't, and I now have them here. So for instance, 2.7K in 120 frames per second. Yes, there's a massive crop, but for the type of shooting I do, the crop doesn't really matter, and in some ways it actually helps. But getting that much slow motion in this high res of a file is excellent. Of course, you get the 6K footage, which sounds cool and all, but until you actually see it, you notice how much more detail there is, how much you can actually see in this image. And that's awesome, but in practice, it's great to be able to reframe or zoom in or just have more flexibility than just with a normal 4K file. And when I'm shooting, I pair it with my stabilized EF lenses that I already have, and the footage that you can get, again, is just excellent. These compromises that I thought I had to make were actually opportunities. Once I actually dove in and decided, you know what, let me just learn how to actually do this, I'm so much happier with the footage that I got. I was on the brink of selling my 6K because I felt it didn't necessarily work with what I was shooting. I was this close to selling my Pocket 6K a few weeks after I got it, just sticking with the 4K. And if you're someone who has the 4K, you shouldn't feel the need to go out and get this camera. The hesitations that I had initially going into it have all gone away. Once I learned how to use the camera and learned how to use the software that goes along with it, this is a camera I can't recommend enough. We live in an awesome time where really there's no excuse for not creating something great. It's not the gear anymore. You can get a camera like this for a relatively affordable price, and you're going to be out shooting anything from just 5 or 6 years ago. I'm glad cameras like this exist, and I'm glad I still have it.